Last weekend I had what can only be described as a dream race. The Serpent Trail 100k is an amazing, amazing race. For me personally, this race just went to perfection. There were 163 runners who started the race and 135 who finished. At the first aid station, I was in 113th place and I finished in 29th. The course was 102 kilometers and I finished it in 12 hours, 11 minutes and 31 seconds. The weather was perfect, it was beautiful, the terrain was dry, and I just spent the whole day running with people, chatting. I'd say probably at least half of the race was me just running side by side with other people, just chatting. So really enjoyed that. I've got my medal from the race. It's really nice, kind of wooden, carved or engraved kind of wood. Yeah. And the t-shirt as well, pretty nice t-shirt. Probably one of the nicer race t-shirts. So the big thing for me on this race was pacing. So for me personally, it was the best pacing I've ever done in a race. I was pacing it in 10k blocks, and my fastest 3 10k sections were the last 3 of the race. So from 70 to 100k, I was running faster than I did for the rest of the race. So from 70 to 80k, I ran an hour and 9 minutes, and then an hour and 8 minutes, and then the final 10k was an hour and 7 minutes. My slowest sections were the 1st, 4th, 5th and 6th, and those were where all the 4 big hills were, so kind of expected to be a bit slower at those times. But yeah, I genuinely don't think I'll have another race like that. It was, pretty special. In terms of the route, it was absolutely beautiful. It was a real mix of terrain and an environment as well, so parts were you're running through like woodland, other parts you were running along like ridge lines. There was a mix of like road, sand, dirt. It was a real mix of terrain. I'd say the course is probably harder than it looks as well in terms of the elevation. Like all of the hills are in the first 60k, but whilst I was kind of expecting 4 big hills, there was a lot of hills in between that were harder than they looked. You know, they might not have been climbing as high over a short distance, but there were some like fairly exhausting hills. And I think maybe the terrain played a part. It was quite soft sand in places. It definitely felt harder than the elevation of the course made out. Also, running 100 kilometers, it felt so much longer than running 50 miles. I don't know if other people find this, but that extra 20 kilometers, extra 3 hours of running felt like an absolute lifetime. It did feel like a significantly longer race than when I did the South Downs Way 50 in April. I don't know if other people find that. It does make me a little bit nervous about doing a 100 miler. In terms of navigation, I think the course was pretty well marked, but it was quite confusing having a GPS file on the watch that didn't quite match up to the course. I think that would be something that it'd be really useful if that was fixed for next year's race, because you'd be running along on a path and the watch would say actually the path you're supposed to be on is about 100 meters to the left, but you could see there was no path there. And sometimes the path split and the trail signs from the course marking went right and the GPS file was telling you to go left, so it's just a bit confusing. I think actually I might have been better off without the GPS file on my watch, but yeah, I think that's something that probably needs sorting out for next year, just to make people's lives a bit easier. I know quite a few people were saying it on the course. In terms of nutrition, I ate a ridiculous amount during this race, way more than I've ever consumed, and I didn't seem to have any stomach issues, which is pretty good. It also is probably why I had so much energy towards the end of the race. So I'm going to list it off. I had 11 Goo energy gels, 6 scoops of Tailwind, 3 soft bakes, like little chocolatey soft snacks, 5 small bags of crisps, 1 large bag of really salted crisps, and 6 cups of Cokes. And I reckon that's somewhere in the region of 4,500 calories that I had over that 12-hour period, which when you're running, that is quite a lot of calories. I think they say you're supposed to have somewhere between 200 and 300 calories an hour, but I was having quite a bit more than that. So it's quite interesting that my body didn't have any issues with digestion. I'd say the only thing that I had an issue with was cramp that potentially could have been sorted by what I was eating, possibly because I wasn't having enough salt. if I can figure out how to sort out issues with cramp for my next ultramarathon, I'll be very, very happy, because it's been the consistent challenge that I've had over the last few races. I don't know whether it's due to nutrition or actually because I haven't got enough strength in my legs and I need to do more strength and conditioning in my training. Something to consider. In terms of this race, so I did the 100k, the Salomon Serpent Trail 100k, but there's 4 other races as part of the weekend: a 10k, a 20k, a 50k, and then the 100k. And it's all set up around this event village where all of the races finish at the event village. So you get there early in the morning, jump on a coach out to, so the 100k goes off to Hazelmere, I think it was, and you run all the way back and finish at the same place as all the other races. You can camp there the night before and camp the night you finish. It is easily one of the best setups I've seen for an ultramarathon. I definitely want to go back and try and camp one year. Maybe do the 50k or just the 100 again. But yeah, it was a really, really good setup. Loads of different food vans. There's people doing like speaking around trail running. I think Solomon had some of their athletes doing talks. So yeah, definitely something I'd like to do in another year. And just generally the event felt very well organised. Like, the photographers are amazing. If you go on the website and have a look at some of the photos from the event, they're some of the best photos I've seen from a running event. There's always a bit of luck in terms of whether you get a good photo of yourself, but yeah, the photographers they had out there at this event were amazing. So the event was 4 or 5 days ago, and my recovery's been a bit mixed. The first few days I was absolutely wrecked. My energy levels were pretty low and I was struggling to walk around. So this is now like 4 or 5 days later, and physically my body feels pretty good. There's like a few twinges of damage in my leg, but yeah, it's I reckon within a few days I'll be able to get some running shoes back on and get back out running. So yeah, my recovery from this has been surprisingly good. So by the time I post this video, I will be on holiday in Sweden without much internet. So if you do put a comment, bear with me. It might take me a few days to get back to you. And my next big race is the Chiltern Wonderland 50 miler in September. So my training is now going to switch to that. It's quite a hilly route, so yeah, I need to get some elevation in my legs over the next couple of months. But yeah, it's not long until the next race, but that's when my videos are going to switch focus now to that race. Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.